I only film these videos when there's actually been a significant update to Instagram's algorithm. So the fact that I'm sat here right now filming this video is a big deal, guys. The algorithm has changed. Let's talk about it. All right, let's talk about some Instagram algorithm fundamentals before we dive into the changes. It's really important that you understand these key bits of information in order for the rest of the video to actually make sense. So don't you dare skip this step. Sorry, my dog has zoomies. Can you see? She's literally just had an hour walk, so let's talk about oh my God. Every time I feel.
A few moments later.
So let's talk about the fundamental element of Instagram's algorithms. You may have noticed that I just used the word algorithms, plural, because yes, there are multiple algorithms. I don't want you to stress about this. It's just important that you're aware that there are different algorithms that power the different features on Instagram. So your Instagram stories has its own algorithm, your Reels has its own algorithm, your feed posts have their own algorithm. And this is all because we interact with the different features on Instagram in different ways. Therefore, they've created different algorithms to try and suit the different ways that we interact with these features, right? So that's the first fundamental piece of information to know. There are multiple algorithms on Instagram. We are just going to have to do this video with the dog doing this in the background. Otherwise, this is never going to get done. The second fundamental piece of information to be aware of is the fact that Instagram introduced their algorithm, I think it was in 2016, as a response to the fact that there was so much content being shared on the platform and people were apparently not seeing the content they wanted to see because there was so much content being shared that when you were scrolling chronologically, you were actually missing out on key content from your friends and family. You may disagree with this. You may prefer the chronological order, and there is actually a way for you to view your newsfeed via the chronological order. I'll put a screen recording on the screen in case you didn't know how to do this. You may disagree with Instagram's decision, but look, it wasn't my decision, so don't shoot the messenger.
Don't shoot, I'm just a messenger.
They introduced the algorithm in 2016 as a result of that. So the whole purpose of the different algorithms is to ensure that you as a viewer actually see the content that you want to see. The third fundamental piece of information is how they actually decide which content you want to see. How do they decide which content is worthy of your eyeballs? They do this by using signals. Now, each algorithm uses their own set of signals, but I'm just going to break down some of the general signals that all of them tend to use. One of the signals is the quality of your content. So it will look to see if your content has watermarks on it, if it's low quality, if the audio is bad, that kind of stuff. Some of the signals are also going to look at things like the engagement that your content received. So did people watch your video, for example, for a long amount of time? Did they engage with it? Did they share it, etc., etc.? Another important signal is what your content is actually about. Instagram's going to try its best to understand what your content is about and therefore share it with people who might be interested in that piece of content. Think of it like a matchmaking exercise, right? It's not just trying to distribute content out to anyone. It's trying to distribute it out to people who will actually be interested in it. So Instagram's algorithms use all of those signals plus a few more to try and figure out who should see your content and how many people should see your content, right? Now that we've got those fundamentals done, and hopefully that's all clear, we can move on to talk about the changes that have recently come to Instagram's algorithms and also how they might affect you. All right, so I think the best way for me to explain these changes is to break down what's going to happen after you post from here on. So you can clearly understand when you share a piece of content, what is Instagram's algorithm doing in the background in order to decide how many people are going to see it, right? All right, let's start from the very first step. You've created an incredible piece of content, whether it's a reel, a carousel, a photo, and you've shared it to your feed in the hopes that it's going to be distributed to the masses. After you share that piece of content, what's going to happen is that Instagram's algorithm is going to share that post with some of your followers and a select few non-followers. Now, when it comes to the non-followers who are going to see your post, Instagram have selected these people to see your content based on their interest and based on the signals that I broke down just a moment ago. Now, Instagram's going to keep a close eye on how these non-followers respond to your content. The reason why they're keeping a close eye on how the non-followers respond to your content is because they're using these non-followers as a bit of a test case, right? They've selected these people because they think they're going to enjoy your content. So they want to keep an eye on whether or not they actually enjoy your content, because if they do, that's a great signal to Instagram that they've selected the right group of people, which will hopefully mean that they're going to share it to even more people who are similar to those non-followers, right? It's really important to remember that the algorithms are trying to ensure that more people see more of the content that they actually like, right? So you've posted, Instagram has shared it to a group of your followers and also some non-followers. They're now keeping an eye on how both of these people are reacting to your content. Are they liking liking? Are they sharing? Are they commenting? If it's a reel, how much of the reel are they watching, right? So Instagram are looking at all of these metrics. And if your post is performing well against these metrics, Instagram will push it out to more people, right? In Instagram's own words, at this stage of the process, they select the best performing reels or content to share to a slightly wider audience. So if your initial group of people who have seen your content are responding well to it, Instagram will push it out to a slightly wider audience. Now from there, Instagram will continue to monitor the engagement and interactions around your piece of content. And if that slightly wider group are also responding well to it, they're going to push it out to an even bigger group of people. Now this process will continue and continue until essentially you reach virality, right? If you keep on passing every stage of that test and every new group of people who are exposed to your content continue to interact and engage with it, it will just be pushed out to more and more people until eventually you blow up and your content is super, super viral. Now, you might be wondering, how is this different? And I'll break that down in a moment. But a key thing to flag here is that Instagram have positioned this new algorithm as a way to make it easier for smaller accounts to grow. In their own words, they have said that this process is designed to level the playing field by distributing the content based on its engagement and not just on the creator's follower count. So let's dive a little bit deeper into what this means and also how this algorithm is different to previous ones. Now, please bear in mind, I'm having to read in between the lines here, which is what I normally have to do when Instagram announces some kind of change to the algorithm. I'm going to link to the actual blog post where they break it down in the description below. But keep in mind that I'm having to do my own investigations to really figure out how this is going to impact us and how this is different. So from my understanding, the previous algorithm operated in a similar way. However, it put more weight on people having a larger audience in order to drive the engagement and get that content through to the next stages of the algorithm process. So, when I spoke about a piece of content being shared to an initial audience and then a bigger audience and then a bigger audience, previously, if you had an existing big audience, you'd be able to speed through that process a lot quicker than someone who didn't have a big audience. The idea is that this algorithm puts less weight on your audience size. Keep in mind that I said less weight. Instagram have not said that they're no longer going to take into account your audience size at all. It's just saying that your audience size won't be as important as it previously used to be. I guess the best way to compare it is that the algorithm is a little bit more similar to TikTok's algorithm. On TikTok, you could be scrolling, see a piece of content that's gone absolutely viral, check out the creator and realize that they've only been creating for a week and they have 10 followers. And you might wonder, how have they got 3 million views with such a small audience?
How is that possible?
It's because TikTok's algorithm puts far more weight and importance on the engagement that the video is getting versus the actual audience size of the creator. Whilst Instagram isn't moving fully to that style of algorithm, it does seem to be making significant steps to get itself closer to that type of algorithm. What's also worth noting is that apparently people are already starting to see huge results from this algorithm change. The blog post that I mentioned below where they announced these changes was dated 26th of Feb. So this is a very new recent update. However, they have said that many creators are already reporting far higher view counts as a result of this algorithm update. Can you let me know in the comments if you've experienced this? Because I'd be really, really keen to know. Okay, now that I've hopefully clearly explained the new algorithm and how it works, let's talk about the different ways that you can leverage the algorithm. And I'm just going to give some credit to Instagram here because Instagram actually provided a lot of these points to us. So in addition to telling us that the algorithm's changed, they actually told us what we should do about it. That's quite rare. Usually I come up with these points myself because they just give us the information and don't tell us what to do with it. So you know what? Credit where credit is due, Instagram. The first thing you should do to leverage this new algorithm is ensure that you're creating and sharing content which is recommendation friendly. Now, Instagram actually have recommendation guidelines that I'm going to link in the description below. Review them, learn them, love them. This is the only way for you to ensure that when you upload content, it doesn't get flagged and that it's actually legible to be shared and recommended to a broader audience. It includes general things like ensuring that your content is high quality, isn't controversial, etc., etc. Now, the next thing that Instagram tells you to do is a bit of an eye roll moment, but they tell you to post regularly. Who hasn't heard that before? This is specifically about Reels. They recommend that in order for you to leverage this algorithm, you post Reels regularly and frequently because every single time you post a Reel, it gives you a new opportunity to reach a new audience. Look, being consistent and posting regular content is of course going to help you. I do think there are other things that are going to help you more though, specifically with ensuring the quality of your content is good. The next thing that they recommend you do is to create content that can stand on its own. And I love this tip. It's basically saying that when you create content, primarily Reels, there's a big chance that it's going to be shown to people who don't know you. You should therefore ensure that the content you're creating will actually land and be valuable to someone who doesn't know you. So don't start your reel by saying, oh my God, guys, you remember that guy that I was dating last week? Well, this is the update. Because as interesting as that update may be, there's a chance that a lot of the people watching that reel don't know the guy that you were dating last week and has never come across your content before. You want to ensure that every reel that you create will actually be useful and valuable to someone, even if they've never come across your content before. Instagram also recommend that you amplify your content with audio in order to leverage this new algorithm. Now, they haven't explicitly said that content which has audio attached to it will perform better. Instead, they've just said that using audio can bring your content to life and make it easier for you to grab the attention of your audience. Their next tip is to continue experimenting. I do love this tip. They essentially say that every post you share is not going to be a hit. Don't we all know it? And instead of getting yourself down, continue to create, continue to experiment, and take everything as a learning process. Your learnings will compound over time, and in the long run, you'll end up creating content that is higher quality and higher performing. Last but not least, and I love this tip from them, it's to embrace unpredictability. They basically say that their recommendations and their algorithm makes it more difficult for you to predict how your content is going to perform. They then go on to say that even though this is the case and you can't predict how your content is going to perform, it is actually the best way to ensure that creators have the best shot of creating high performing content. Do with that information what you will. I personally love it because I feel like it's one of the first times that Instagram have come out and said like, look, the algorithm isn't perfect. You can do everything we've just said and your content still might flop. That's essentially what they're saying. And that is really true. You can do everything that I've just mentioned and your content still might perform well. But their point is that you have to continue trying and embrace the unpredictability, which I think is the only way for us to mentally stay motivated when it comes to posting on a platform like Instagram. Okay, that's it for today's video. I hope I don't have to film a video about Instagram algorithm updates for a while, but let's see, watch this space. If you feel like hanging around, I recommend watching this video. It's all about the top ways to grow on Instagram according to Instagram. So myself and my team scoured the web for every piece of information that Instagram have shared in regards to how to grow on their platform. And I present it to you in this one lovely packaged video. You're welcome. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I can't wait to see you in my next video.